Hello everyone, this is Rachel here, the Modern Shaman. Thanks for being with me for another YouTube Q&A video. If you are new to my channel, first of all, glad you're here. Second of all, please visit my website. That's themodernshaman.net. There's a lot of resources there if you'd like to sit with me one-on-one for private sessions here in my office or online, as well as my masterclass teaching curriculum. Great resources. All of it can be found on my website. Again, that's themodernshaman.net. Okay, let's read the question of the week. It says, this one came in right at the new year. It says, "Hey, super shaman Rachel, here is my New Year's question. If I want to birth anew in any given moment and reset, how would I go about doing it?" Great, I love that question for the new year, and now is the time to do it. We're in such a great energy that's moving us into kind of this fresh, vital, transformative space. So yeah, well, I will give you my advice, and really I'll give you some practicals with this one. The way that I would suggest is to do ceremony around this. And this is not necessarily birthing anew right now. This would be like a 3-day practice, but we'll talk about that at the end of the video. First, I will tell you that in the shamanic community, the idea of shamanic life cycle, or this symbolic death and rebirth, is highly discussed and is central to the part of emotional trauma release and movement forward in your life on your journey. So oftentimes you will hear shamans talk about symbolic death ceremonies and symbolic birthing ceremonies. And that's what I would recommend if you are starting the new year and really wanting to accomplish something with this 2024 energy. Now, this is not new. This comes from the life cycle that we view in nature. And this is a death and rebirth cycle. This has been in ancient literature through every practice or ideology. I mean, they all have their cycles that speak and teach lessons on death. I'm thinking of the Buddhist samsara, which is their kind of practice and teaching around the death cycle or death and rebirth, and that regenerative nature. This is also seen in just our biology, the death of cells and rebirth. And so that whole process is the way that I would advise you when you are looking to birth something new. You asked if you can reset in any given moment, how would you go about setting things anew? So first, I would start with the death. That is where the cycle begins, in my opinion. If you are already living a life and you already have, you're already here and watching this video, you already have enough experiences that require that you sit and you contemplate what needs to be let go of, okay? This is our symbolic shamanic death ceremony. So my suggestion would be to sit for a moment and ask yourself, what is ready to die within my life? What is it time to let go of? This may be people and relationships. This may be belief systems or practices or habits that you want to let go of. This may be something that seems like it's no longer helping you make forward progress in your life, or in fact maybe blocking you. So sit and truly ask yourself that question. What needs to die in my life right now? And and this is so pivotal before we move into a realm of like looking at our goals or what we want to accomplish, because if we don't know what we need to actually let go of and let have its way of destruction, then that cycle never gets finished. And so it corrodes or eats away at our future goals that we may be wanting to move forward, or the productivity that we want to have in the new year, because we haven't fully let die what needs to let die first and foremost. So This is so fundamentally like a foundation for the shamanic work, is to first let the death process take hold. I often call the New Year's Eve the death day, right? Or as Sinsev went, before we begin anew, we must let die what needs to die. And truly take a very honest and authentic look at yourself. And what do you feel like you are doing or you are allowing that is causing corrosive aspects in your life, that is causing things to harden. This may be, like I shared, relationships with those that you know are toxic for you. This may be engaging in behaviors and habits that are toxic for you, or that leads you down a snowball to a dark place, or habits that you can't get out of that are addictive in nature. So ask yourself that. And then day one, set a ceremony that is symbolically representative of the death of those objects, those people, those relationships in your life. So you may choose to write them down. Essentially, this is a fire ceremony. So you write them down and you burn the paper. Or you take objects from that relationship and you burn them, and you watch them burn in the flame, and you watch them shift in their chemistry into the air. You let the air take them. So that is symbolic of literally letting die what needs to die and letting it shift, and letting the alchemy of that chemical reaction turn it into something new. That is day one, is the death of the old and that ceremony. And when I say ceremony, I mean that you move into a time that feels sacred. There is a literal ceremonial space for it. I would recommend that you take salt and you make a circle around where you're going to have that fire. Okay, or you can do this with fire as well, just lighting tea lights around you, but essentially creating a liminal space, a sacred space for yourself that is devoted to the ceremony, setting and starting with a prayer of intention, letting it feel like it takes on a whole nother vibrational level of intensity and power for what you're doing. When we create ceremony, it magnifies the importance of an event to us, versus just something where in the evening I'm just going to set fire to the things that reminded me of that person and my ex-boyfriend or whatnot. No, I'm going to set a ceremonial space and time and make it a sacred shift through my heart. Remember, this practice is for you. Okay. Then after that fire ceremony, save the ashes. This is important for day two, which is our contemplation, or the womb space, the gestation period. And this is the space where, now that you have been hollowed out and cleared out, it is typically a day of fasting. So you bring in the empty energy. So this may be fasting from food, this may be fasting from electronics, this may be fasting from a day of work, this may be fasting from whatever it is that in your life feels like it has a power over you, or a holding power, so that you empty out the state of the self, the physical body, the state of the mind, and you move into a time of deep contemplation. And this is where you ask yourself, essentially, what do I want to bring into my life anew? Ask yourself these questions. Don't just say, okay, well, now I'm going into day two. This is the contemplative, the gestation period. Initiate the energy of that deep contemplation. So ask yourself the question. Literally, so much can be gained from asking spirit, asking our higher self the questions that we want answered. Like, sit down and ask it. Sit down and write it down and get clarity around that gestation period. What is it that you want to birth or create? What is it that you're making room for? Asking yourself and letting those answers arise and kind of brew, right? This is the gestation. So we don't have to make any decisions on this second day. We empty out and we let that kind of creative energy of the new set its pace within us, right? We let it take hold. And this is also where oftentimes we cover ourselves with ash. So in the shamanic perspective, we would kind of darken and go inward. So you would take some of that ash from everything that you burned, you would cover your face. Ash Wednesday is like this also, right? It's symbolic of the death that has occurred. And we honor that, right? We don't have a lot of processes in our current culture that honor the death cycle, but it is a very hallowed and monumental transition. It is a threshold experience. If you have ever had someone close to you transition and go through a death process out of a physical body into a new form, it is absolutely transformative. When you have someone close to you like that, you don't come out the other end the same person. You do not. And so honoring that death cycle, putting the ashes on your face, covering yourself with a sense of wearing black that day, honoring the death says, this is important to me. I honor what has passed. That was then. And I show respect for the dead. I show respect for the fact that that had a time and a place in my life, that relationship or those habits or that aspect of myself, that belief system. And I show respect and honor to it in its place. And then the next day, I clean myself anew. So now we move into water and the element of birthing. And day 3 is a water ceremony or a birth ceremony. So this would be done in a bath or a pool where essentially you cleanse yourself and you feed anew. You also take some of those ashes and you plant with the ash in the earth and with water. After you have bathed and cleansed yourself anew, you plant and end with that planting ceremony. So you take some of the ash, some of the water from your cleansing bath, and you plant something. This can be a seed, this can be a flower, this can be a tree. You plant something in the ground, adding some of the ash from day 1 and the cleansing water from the birthing ceremony that you did, which again, the ceremony can simply be set by putting some salt around a bath, getting in a shower with some candles on the outside, set a ceremonial space. You walk into that space, you are separate. You have identified yourself as moving in to this holy space, and a traditional shower becomes something completely different. I am cleansing myself anew. I am birthing something new in my life. Whatever it was that you contemplated, that you let gestate the day before, now you are moving into the energy of purity, of cleansing, and of starting fresh. This is the birth. And then when you walk out of that ceremonial space, you move into the shifting of air. So this is the element of bringing, like we call the winds of change, right? This is the change element and bringing that alchemy of change. And it will feel brisk. It should feel brisk when you have that hot bath or that hot shower and you are birthing something new, and then you move into air. And I always suggest that people air dry after this or lay flat outside of the ceremonial space to feel the energy of the wind and the energy of change coming upon you. Then move into that planting a seed, like I said, a flower or a tree or something, bringing all of the elements together and letting that be your symbol of the birth that you want to bring into your life. Whatever it was that you set as your state, that's a beautiful third day of bringing it into fruition. And then the next part is essentially a 7-day practice of watering it each day, and each day coming back to that plant or that flower or that tree and saying, what is it that I need to do? So this is our action. What is it that I need to do today in the 7 days following that planting that will bring about the abundance, the fruit, the bounty of what it is that you want to birth anew in your life. So I hope that that is a blessing to you. That practice is a 3-day ceremonial practice of death and rebirth. and then the 7-day following of the action, moving into the energy of abundance. And I hope that blesses you with this new year. This is a great time to do it. I love that you asked that question. All right, I'm going to sign off here, and we will be back next week with another video. Blessings, you guys.